funny enough, I went shooting again a second time at Ohio State when I was there, and the same guy found us again,
Wait,
and he
what?
did the exact same thing. He started recording, like shoving a camera in our face, and it happened again. We found ourselves in a second TikTok video, and I'm just like, what is going on? This dude is obsessed with us right now.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gray Himakar, and welcome to a special first episode of a furry podcast I'm calling Group Howl. My idea for this podcast is that I wanted to create a space where furries can easily come together and tell fun and interesting stories that they experience from being in the fandom. So I feel like just from over the years, just meeting different furries, there's often a lot of interesting encounters that people have had that honestly just deserves to be shared. So today with me, I have two very, very special guests, Riptide and Ray. Hey, do you guys want to introduce yourself?
Hi there, my name is Riptide. My suit's name is Dune. And yeah,
Ray. My suit is a maned wolf hybrid. And yeah, let's start.
Ooh, nice. So, as you guys already know, for each podcast, I'm thinking of starting off with one or two central topics that we can talk about. To start us off for today, I was thinking of it talking about the idea of public suiting. So, Riptide, I know you mentioned you've done a lot of like public suiting, whether that's around like campus or doing elsewhere. Like, and also Ray, for like how have those experiences kind of looked for you guys? Has it been scary? How have people reacted?
I'm I'm personally a huge fan of public suiting. I think it's a really fun way to kind of just get out and demonstrate and perform. After all, fursuiting is just a big performance. Um, and sometimes it's really nice to get the attention and just kind of like walk around and in character. So um, I've done all different types of public suiting before. I've gone like with a large group. I've gone with like one or two other people in a small group. I've also gone by myself before. Um, but yeah, no, they're all definitely very different experiences for each different type of one. But yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I honestly for me too, like I I am very much like a deviant when it comes to like public seating. I've like just because I live in like around the Boston area, I've done a lot in terms of just walking around like the MBTA or like the public transit, either like most usually by myself, but it's been like going to fur meets and stuff. And honestly, even just like walking around my like college, that was a lot of fun. Wait, how did you like when you said you were like shooting with other people? Like, how did that came around? Like, was it for like a meet or something, or like did you just like talk to people and like just walk around?
Yeah, most of the time it is from fur meets. I think that's kind of the easiest way to just get a large grouping of people together, and also like, because with fur meets you're pretty certain that there's going to be handlers there to help out with you. And I think that's kind of one of the biggest things that makes it possible. But yeah, most of the time it's like organized fur meets. There've been like a couple scenarios where we just kind of like did something kind of impromptu, like just threw a group together and just let anyone show up whenever they want, kind of thing. Personally, I prefer the organized for me. I think that's usually more fun because then we kind of like know what to expect and it just like is less unpredictable. But that's just my take on it. Just recently, we had a fur meet. We went to a local park called Depot Park.
Hmm.
And it was a pretty small,
Yes,
not really organized meet, I would say, but it was
I saw like four fursuiters.
yeah, we had like four fursuiters there. It was pretty good. Um, it's kind of enough of a group to where I can feel like um I can enjoy the act of fursuiting without feeling like overwhelmed by the amount of people that are around. Just because there's like the attention's kind of split between everyone, which makes it a little bit nicer. But
Yeah, I like also I noticed like I mean I've never done single suit. Oh well, that's a lie. I've gone suiting by myself in the sense that I was the only one suiting with some friends,
Hmm.
and they were just surrounding me and stuff. But like I think people are more prone to I don't know kind of not necessarily bullying, but like making a scene or instigating something when you're the only one doing it. But when it's a group of people, it just gets a whole lot easier because people are like, oh damn, that's like a whole posse of furries. Like I'm gonna either stay away or interact if I'm gonna be nice about it.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. That's true. I feel like having one like with other people. I know for people that I've talked to, it's like it kind of helps with like confidence, because like if you're like the only one odd one out of like the entire crowd, people would just be staring at you, and it's like really scary. But you have like just a few other suitors, not like to a point where it's like a mob, right? But like just a few other people, it's like it's nice because you can just like work like I don't know, bounce off each other's energy and like yeah.
I definitely agree with that. I think that's the best way to get started with public suiting. Like, just going by yourself is kind of rough at first. So I like you kind of want to work your way into it. Like, I definitely didn't start by going by myself for sure. I like my first time like public suiting like 2 years ago or so. I went with like large groups. And it's like it's a nerve-wracking thing, public suiting, because it's like you're putting yourself out there, and it's kind of like people who don't know what furries are can see you, so it's a nerve-wracking thing, as I'm sure you know as well.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And like even now, I still sometimes feel kind of nervous about it, but like I feel like I'm kind of over that initial hump of like just feeling comfortable being in public with it on. Um, but how do you feel about that?
Yeah. Well, okay. So I like the first time I actually went suiting like in public was at like this small beach in Maine, like where nobody wears because I'm from Maine and I kind of moved down to where Riptide is here, and there's like a whole lot of not a whole lot of people, and also people just don't really give a crap. Uh, so that was my first experience doing it, but I found that the second time I did it in a more populated area and I was kind of doing it by myself with some friends, it was a whole lot less like that was like a scary experience. But when I did it with him for the first time and like other suitors,
Yep.
like when he invited me to go out to our like college downtown and just like go public suiting, that was like a whole lot more fun because like you said, you bounce off each other's energy and it's just a whole different vibe as opposed to kind of like doing it on your own and feeling the glares coming from all angles.
Yeah, that makes sense. I actually okay, so I have the like the opposite perspective. Well, because so like when I got my suit, I think it's almost like 2 years ago. I didn't like really know any furries. Even at my college, I was like aware of like two, but nobody had like suits. And so like the main part was like I was interested in being a dancer, so I'll just take it at like 8-10 p.m. to go to like a dance studio in a school and just like dance with it. But then eventually I just like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna go to like class one day with like, is that sounds cool? And so like I showed up in like a big lecture hall for like one of our CS class, and I just like sat down, and it was like so scary because I think at that point, because when you have to take off the head at some point, right? Like people see you. Um, but I also think I just gone on like the bus randomly, and I would say like in general, Boston is a relatively safe space because they're just like weird people everywhere, right? But like, or like, weird as in like different cultures, different styles. And so like, yeah, one, I remember like the most was like this past year or maybe last January where like Boston had a pretty big like winter chill. It was getting down to like minus 10 degrees. And I was just like, okay, I wanted an excuse to wear my suit around more because there wasn't a lot of events I was aware of. So I just went on the train, took the subway to go to H Bar to eat ramen because I was really hungry, and I got like just got back, took a flight back home to college, and that was that. And I actually got ended up getting recognized by a furry in like the kind of a local group chat. They were like, "Who is this dude?" Doing going the train today. But yeah, that was a really fun experience.
That sounds super fun. I'm so jealous that you have the cold weather up there because
Oh, jeez.
we're stuck down
Oh
here in
right.
Florida.
I missed that so much. I was like so excited to like because I planned on getting my first suit before like things were to set in motion to actually get down to Florida. Um and leaving Maine in that kind of weather, like I get you. You're actually a little colder than us in Boston probably than we are in Maine sometimes because I was on the coast.
Hmm.
Um and that weather was perfect for this kind of thing and I really wish I still had that.
Oh,
I
that's
miss suiting in the cold.
Yeah.
It's always so nice. It's so refreshing. Like, oh my gosh, just the feeling of the wind blowing through your eyes. Oh gosh.
oh.
Saying that out loud is kind of weird, but like when the wind blows through the mesh in your
No, no,
eyes.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah, can
Oh
you
my
imagine
goodness.
saying that to somebody out of context? You'd be like, I love feeling the wind blowing through my eyes. It's the best feeling.
Only things furries would understand.
Exactly.
But oh my gosh, just this past Monday, we went suiting on campus, just us two.
Mhm.
And well, we had handlers as well, so that definitely helped out. But oh my God, it was so hot outside. I was like dripping inside of my fursuit. It was so brutal. Oh my gosh, I can't wait until like the cold season like finally hits us and we
Yeah,
can like,
the cold season. Those are air quotes, by the way. Yes.
oh my gosh. Like having been to MFF with a fursuit before,
Yeah.
I didn't go last year unfortunately, but the year before, going suiting in the cold like around that time is just immaculate. It's so good. I feel like my endurance level when suiting just like triples. It's so good. And I feel like I just have so much energy as opposed to when it's hot outside and I just get like absolutely drained.
Oh, that's wait. So in like Florida, like during the winter time, right? Like it's yeah, I have this my sister who also like lives down in Florida, and then I think the last 2 weeks here around Boston, it's gone down to like 30 something, and then the high would be like 50, 60s. Like wait, how like cold does it get? What is the temperature?
You know the answer, but better than I do on this
I
one.
mean, I've only been here for 3 years.
Yeah.
I think like it sometimes gets down into like the 20s and 30s, but that's kind of rare.
Can we get a input on this?
This week it's actually
No worries.
supposed to have a high of 45, so greatly looking forward
Yeah,
to that.
we're going suiting for
We're
sure
we're going shooting again this week and enjoying the cold weather while it lasts. So
on game day too. You know.
yes, that's our next plan. We're gonna go shooting on game day.
So
So
hopefully the campus will be like loaded with people. That's the plan.
oh yeah. So
Oh.
like last Monday, that was our warm up, and now next week that's like our full blown thing. So it's gonna be kind of chaotic,
Yeah.
getting swarmed by so many people.
We'll
Um,
manage.
I think we're ready for it though.
Yeah.
We're kind of like working up to it. But just kind of a thing like when you're surrounded by so many people that don't know what furries are or haven't seen a fursuit before, it can get really like stifling and kind of overwhelming because it's like people just kind of like they see furries and they're like, "Oh my God, what is that?"
Mhm.
And you just have people constantly like coming up to you, like getting pictures and
Oh yeah, we had one girl last week that like pulled on Riptide's tail.
Oh
Like, cause
no.
that stuff just happens. Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately, like some people don't understand fursuit etiquette who aren't too familiar with furries, which I don't blame them. I was waiting at a stoplight. We were waiting to cross the street, and there was a couple of sorority girls who were standing behind us who had just gotten out of last week's football game.
Hmm.
And one of them was kind of like tugging on my tail, and I could feel it. It was pretty noticeable. I didn't want to make a comment about it because I didn't want to make it awkward or anything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, that's a little bit odd. But like, I know that they don't really know that's something you're not supposed to do. So I definitely gave them some slack, and they were like nice. They were nice to us overall, but that was definitely something that made me like, oh, okay.
Yeah. There's like, yeah, it's the one of the dangers of public suiting. People will probably touch.
Yeah, people who don't know how like delicate fursuits are, they don't know like that touching them can be potentially harmful to the suit, specifically the eyes.
Yeah, I had
Oh.
it. There was like a kid that came up to me and started tapping on my eyes.
No way. That's so scary.
Yeah, it was so bad.
Yeah, that's like biggest fear for me, just having someone touch my eye and like poke through it or something. 'Cause like the eyes, don't get me wrong, they're a little durable, but like if you put too much force on here, it'll rip.
It'll rip off.
It's definitely worries me sometimes, but um I think another time when I went public shooting, this is one time I actually went by myself. Um, it was Halloween last year, and I wore my fursuit to a local club.
Yeah.
It's the Gainesville local gay club, and
Whoa, wait,
I
wait,
think
okay.
it was really it was kind of crazy. Because it was Halloween on that, or it was the Halloween weekend, so the weekend before Halloween.
Yeah.
And it was the most crowded I've ever been. This is the busiest I've ever fursuited in before.
Yeah.
But it was a really cool experience to just go in a space where like most of the people there haven't ever seen a fursuit in their life before. I felt like a celebrity almost. Like so many pictures were taken with me, and just like everyone was like, "Oh my God, a fursuit!" Like crazy. Um, but unfortunately, I think that's something I'm only gonna do in really, really rare scenarios because it was a bit risky, looking back at it. Because like everyone was touching my suit,
Mm.
and like there's a lot of people carrying drinks and stuff, and like spilling their drinks. Fortunately, I didn't have any like issues with that, but it very well could have happened. Um, the funniest outcome of that experience though was I was scrolling on Snapchat the next day. I never used Snapchat. Um, I,
Right.
I mostly just use Telegram, but I just felt the urge to check Snapchat that day, and I go on my local stories and I open it up and I see myself in fursuit. I'm like, what the heck?
Oh, okay.
So one of the people I saw when I was shooting on Halloween in the club was someone who I just happened to have met my freshman year at UF.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, oh my God, that's so crazy. Um, really cool though. I just thought that was a really fun outcome that I definitely didn't expect at all, but I definitely will remember that experience.
Yeah, that's so funny. Like you were like you were just going shooting around, right? And then the next day, like somebody you knew just posted a Snapchat of you. You're like, wait, that's me.
Yeah, I DM'd them. I told them like, "Hey, that's me." And they were really cool about it, honestly. Like they sent me all the pictures that they took with me that day.
Yeah.
So I got to like see some of the ones that were taken. Usually like most of the time when you get pictures with random strangers, you never see them again.
Yeah,
Like
no.
never. They're just kind of lost in the void. But that was like a rare scenario where I actually got back the pictures that I got taken with. And I just thought that was really cool. Um, but overall, just like it was like super overwhelming but fun. Like if that makes sense. Like um it wasn't like overwhelming enough to where I wouldn't enjoy it.
Hmm.
It was still like pretty fun because I could just vibe and like vibe to the music and dance and just do things you would regularly do at a club. But um, I don't go to the clubs too often. Rare scenarios I do. That just happened to be one instance where I did. And I had a good time. So
Yeah, no, that's so sick. I don't think I've well, actually I don't know if I've ever went to a club before per se, but I definitely doing it in fursuit. I would be yeah so scared of like the thing we just said about like alcohol spilling on me. Just like one spill, it is over. So I really respect you to that, and that really sounds like a fun experience. Yeah, I mean, because I feel like right, like it's kind of nice. You kind of get like people's attention on you when you're like public shooting, right? Like, because I remember when I was doing, I was with a group of furries, and then there was like two of us in a suit, and we were walking around like Faneuil Hall in Boston. So it's kind of like I guess a popular British tourist attraction, or like a hall where there's just a lot of food vendors that'll be selling like lobster roll, clam chowder, those kind of like New England dishes. And but it was pretty packed that day. I think like people were just shuffling around the time, and people were just like, I was in suit. I had a friend order for me because I was like, I couldn't see anything. I was like, I want, I want that item, please. But people were just kind of like, oh hi, can I get a picture with you? So it was like little kids or like even like adults, and so that was really cool, but also scary because people were just like coming up to you and be like, hi, can I get a photo? Like, can I? Sometimes getting in your face a little bit. um,
yeah, I think one of the things I've noticed is like sometimes
Photo
people
effect.
are kind of scared to take pictures
Yeah,
with
it's
you.
it's like when the first person takes like asked to take the photo, then all the other people that wanted to take a photo like all come up at the same time.
Oh
exactly.
yeah. Like we were just walking around and it was like nobody interacted with us for like the first like 15-20 minutes, and then we get to a spot, someone asks us for a picture, and the next thing we know there's like a line of people who want to take a
Yeah.
picture with us, and obviously we gladly took pictures with all of them, and it was just a really cool it was really fun to just kind of I just love having those positive experiences with people. um not every person or an experience is like super positive about it.
Hmm.
It's at the
Like
very least interesting though.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think most of the time the good experiences outweigh the negative ones.
The negative ones, like to be clear, I don't think anyone's ever been out to hurt anyone. like
Oh,
once
yeah,
tried to
no.
hurt us. They just say things like there's a guy going by on like a moped and he called us a weirdo or something like that. It's it's not usually a big deal if it's negative,
Yeah,
Hmm.
we kind of just tune that stuff out anyways.
right?
Most of the people like walk by, they just kind of like hold their phone to the side and
Yes, sneak a photo or
sneak a
something.
photo
Yeah,
of us. Yeah, the people who are afraid to ask for a picture, but honestly, I don't blame them a little bit.
yeah.
Like
Like
it's just
two big
it's kind
dogs.
of a uncommon thing, like weird sight to see. I'll definitely admit that, but that's definitely a thing where you kind of have to know your area that you're shooting in. Like there's definitely some areas I would never go shooting in.
Hmm.
Like particularly like downtown area and the more like
Oh yeah,
the more like outskirts of Gainesville, I would never go shooting there.
you have to be safe about it. Although I say that, but I definitely like I was down at Midtown like at a midnight on Halloween, so
Oh.
you know,
For context, Midtown is like the area that's right next to our campus that's full of like the freshman bars.
Oh, okay.
Like most of the bars the freshmen and sophomores go to.
yeah. And actually most people one guy came up to me and just said, "I hate furries." And I said, "Cool." And then he left.
He just walked
And then
off.
another guy wanted a picture, and then a bunch of girls wanted pictures, which was kind of funny. Because like they were like, "Oh my God, I love your costume." Like, "Oh my, like, do you know what my costume is?" And that was a whole lot of fun. I didn't expect it to be that enjoyable, to be honest. But
Yeah.
I was a little worried because midnight on Halloween in Midtown, that's not like the best idea, especially since, I didn't have any other suitors with me. So, well, I had friends, but I didn't have suitors.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I get you. I definitely agree with you guys. I think like the majority, I want to say like 90%, 95% of the interactions I have with people have been like pretty positive. A lot of times, like if people like look at you, sometimes they'll just look at you funny, right? Or like, yeah, I'll catch like one person like from the corner of my eye, they'll be like pretending to take a photo when you're like not looking, like it's like at their waist or something. But like otherwise, people would just either come up to you, be like, "Yo, what is that? What are you?" I'm like, green dog or something. Yeah, people just want to take a picture with you, and they're just really like tend to be positive about it. It's like, oh, that's a cool costume, that's a cool, mascot. Uh, I think definitely my like most feared thing now when it comes to like public shooting is definitely like drunk college students because just about a month ago we were having a party near like Harvard. And we were like at around like 1 a.m. We were just walking around Harvard Square to a public shooting. I think there were like 7, 8 of us in suit, and then like 5 other people too in the group. And this like group of 4 or 5 like drunk college students just came like across. They were like they saw us across the street, and I'm pretty sure the light was like the light was green, right? The car was going. They just like start crossing, and then immediately heading our directions. And I was like, oh wait, what's happening? And we were eating. I think it was like Joe's Pizza or something. So people had like pizza in carton, like trying to hold on for other people. And like they just like started doing, I don't know, it was like weird TikTok like clips. They were like like weird camera angles, like what is your suit, bro? And then they start interviewing us. It was I was genuinely scared because like I did not know like interacted with I don't know, just drunk college students in general in suit before. I think when I'm like by myself, a lot of times people just kind of like leave you alone because I don't know how that works out, but I think that was definitely like scariest experience for me because I did not know what they were doing. People were like kind of like roughing their hair a little bit. So um yeah, I try to tell them like I don't kind of like that, but yeah, a little scary at that time.
I've gone shooting at Ohio State like 2 years ago, and something similar to that happened to me too. Some random guy kind of just accosted us out of nowhere. I was shooting with a large group of fursuiters. There was like I'd say like 6 to 8 of us total, and this guy comes up to us and he starts like filming us, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like shoving his phone in our face, like kind of being a little bit obnoxious. Like I like being on camera, but he was being a bit like rude with it.
Mm.
And he starts filming like videos of us and like not really interviewing us. It felt a little bit like kind of joking, but funny enough, like the day after, um we saw the videos appear on TikTok.
Oh,
So we got to see ourselves again on and it was kind of cool.
What the comment section's like, though.
Yeah, the comments were not great.
oh, fair, fair.
You can kind of expect that online.
Yeah.
Just don't pay attention to any of the comments because those always stink.
Hmm.
But funny enough, I went suiting again a second time at Ohio State when I was there, and the same guy found us again,
Wait,
and he
what?
did the exact same thing. He started recording, like shoving a camera in our face, and it happened again. We found ourselves in a second TikTok video, and I'm just like, what is going on? This dude is obsessed with us right now.
Yeah.
That reminds me, like, yeah, what I'll do occasionally is I'll like throw pictures of our shooting experiences on the like the college Yik Yak,
Yeah.
just to see what people react with, and people like it's almost weird. It's like they have an obsession, right? Like, oh my God, furries, oh gross. I'm gonna keep posting or and commenting about them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's the obsession.
It's pretty funny. I think people they see something crazy and they kind of just grip onto it.
Yeah,
But honestly, I like the attention, so I'll gladly give it to them.
but yeah,
Just like as long as it's within reason, because I don't want to like give people a bad image of us or bad
Right,
impression of
right.
us. But realistically, we're just walking around having fun, and we're having way more fun than they're having.
That's
So that's kind of what keeps me going. I'm like, all the people who don't like seeing us, like I'm having a million times more fun than they are. So, um, I don't know. I've never really had a terrible experience apart from people just shouting things or like barking. Most
Yeah.
of the people who like actually hate furries,
Mhm.
they're too scared to come up to us.
Hmm.
But also I'd like to say a disclaimer. Like definitely be safe with your suiting. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
that's the most important thing. Like I will
95% of our positive experience or of our experiences are positive, not because just like how people are, it's because we choose to suit in safe areas.
yeah, like and knowing what to do and like knowing when to call it. Just like sometimes you want to just like walk away from some people or go a different direction. Like
Right.
kind of knowing your area is a like a big thing. And I feel like I've been shooting enough times to kind of pick up on those cues.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a long
I-
conversation.
Yeah.
Um,
And also, actually, I forgot what I was gonna say, but mainly, yeah. Um, I think I've spent too like you were trying to get away from some people that we were talking to, and I was just like still talking to them, and I think that was one of those situations. But then again, like people aren't gonna hurt you. Maybe they'll pull your tail or something, but otherwise you just stay in the safe areas and you're pretty much good.
yeah, I agree.
For sure. I think you guys definitely bring up a good point of like when not to like public suit, right? Like you definitely have to like you shouldn't go into a place that like, oh, I have never like visited this area in person before and now I'm just like coming in and dressing up by myself, walking around like an unknown place. I think in general, like first like just, also everybody suits have different visibility. So I think like even just walking around like careful not to, go off the street or something. But also yeah, being aware of like how people tend to be in that area. Like, if you're kind of like a weird dog walking around, like, if it's like, yeah, you just got to be kind of cognizant of the area. I definitely agree. I don't, I like definitely try to scout things out beforehand and like plan it out rather than just kind of doing it like haphazardly. Or if I'm doing it, I would have somebody else to like be with me for sure.
Yeah, whenever we go shooting, we're pretty cautious about it. Like we'll make sure there's someone with us who has like water if we need it, and we'll definitely know the route that we're going. And it's like, I don't want to say fursuiting always goes super well,
No, yeah, I mean, sometimes it's
but
like,
if you just follow general like common sense kind of and preparedness and having someone with you, it's kind of like hard to have like a really bad experience.
yeah, you can usually have at least somewhat of a good time, at least a very interesting one.
Yeah,
Maybe you'll get like a lot of haters, but it'll be fun because you're like, I'm still cooler than you, so like,
Yeah, definitely. You gotta
I
like
just
take people as like it's kind of on the chin, like if you were like yeah, because I think we were walking around like Davis Square or something. We had a furry meet actually. That was oh, I really love that one because we got like yeah, I think it was like 12, 13 suitors and like a lot of other people as well, just kind of congregating around this very popular like station for like the public transit, and they were at the time they were also doing a like an art gallery, so there was like tables of people like selling arts from artists, and actually the person who put up the meet, their grandma happened to be somebody who worked for like the one of the local town newspaper. It's like the Somerville newspaper, And we ended up, he actually ended up taking the picture of us, and then we ended up in the local newspaper like about a week later. Um,
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
We have to do that.
I'm so jealous of that.
Yeah, we have to
I
do
would
this.
love to be in the
We're
newspaper.
gonna do this. It's gonna be a thing now. We're gonna make it happen.
But you know what? Like it's actually finding that newspaper copy was like the hardest thing ever because I had to. So Somerville is a relatively like, yeah, it's a medium-sized town, right? But I had to go scout or level. I had to look up their website, right? And then like if you wanted like a physical copy, I went to the Somerville Library, public library. I asked them, "Do you guys have the Somerville newspaper?" And they were like, "We have a newspaper." You're just telling me the city public library doesn't know that the city newspaper exists? And so
Oh my goodness. How did you find out about it in the first place? Did you just find out like online or?
yeah, the person who hit the meet said like their grandma like took a picture of us and it's gonna be in the newspaper next week. And so I was like, okay, heck yeah. And I think they took like a screen cap of like what the newspaper was gonna look like. And so I was like, had to go find this. And long story short, I went on like an excursion, walked around like the city building or something, like the where the I guess the decisions get made, and they, they were closed for the day. I had to call the newspaper at some point, and they were like, "Go to this Chinese restaurant at this specific stop. Look across the street. There's gonna be a blue box. Inside of it will be a copy of our newspaper." That's how I got my newspaper copy.
That sounds so awesome. I wish I had a newspaper of myself.
Yeah. We need that now.
Funny though, we have gotten media attention, but in other ways. So our local school, actually, I think a lot of colleges have this. It's like a bar stool thing.
But yeah,
It's usually for sports and stuff, but sometimes they just post random crazy things that happen around campus.
Uh-huh.
And the furries at UF, we've gotten on the Barstool account like numerous times.
Oh.
I think we've been on there like 4 times.
oh, really? I thought it
No?
was maybe yeah.
Yeah, no. Like one of them is when I was shooting by myself, like some like shooting with other people. It's just a bunch of random times when we've had furries going shooting in public just appear on the bar stool. And it's like it's kind of cool to see us. It's maybe not under the best like pretense
Yeah,
because it seems kind of mocking, but
the comments are always like, well, they're always kind of funny to me because they're like, oh, this wolf got into this school and like my son didn't. Like it's something like that.
Oh
It just cracks me up.
they're very funny to read, but you definitely have to take them with a grain of salt.
Yeah, there's that's just how this state is sometimes. You got that kind of that air, and also how Instagram is.
Yeah,
So
sure.
But we're kind of on a mission. We want to get on the bar stool like one more time.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna do it.
So we're trying to put ourselves out there. Maybe someone will like capture a video of us and then we'll see it appear. But we have not been lucky with that yet.
No, we've
Um,
appeared on our Yik Yak page a few times, but that's about it.
Yeah, Yik Yak is a big thing, especially with colleges. Because college students they can post on there anonymously.
Yep.
And when people post anonymously, they're very vocal. They're
Yeah.
very vocal.
Oh.
And
Mhm.
have no filter. So like usually when we go shooting, we'll see at least like 2 or 3 posts about like, oh my God, the furries are out.
Mhm.
And I just find those hilarious.
If I understand this correctly, is it like I guess a social media app or something, right? But it's like each school has their own, and then you can like people just post whatever like's happening on campus.
So it's based on proximity location. So
Yeah.
it shows you
What?
anything that anyone has posted within like 5 or 10 miles of you.
Well, yeah, and it's
So it
but it's
works
also
anywhere.
school specific, I believe. So you do have to input your school email to be added to like school group chat specifically.
Oh.
It's pretty cool, but also people are extremely unhinged on those.
Extremely unhinged.
Um,
It's like unbelievable.
Yeah.
Had the joy of posting my own stuff. I did like an AMA on it.
Mhm.
Like
Oh.
and like actually the moderation's like quite good. So if anyone ever called us like a weirdo or like said, "Oh, like I'm gonna kill you" or something like really vulgar like that, it ended up getting like deleted. So like Yik Yak is actually kind of like good about not doing hate comments like that.
Oh wait, that's actually super nice. Yeah. Wait, so you did an AMA and you were like, "Hi, I'm a furry. Ask me whatever."
That's like exactly what I did pretty much. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I said I was like this college is furry. like ask me anything, and most of it was just random like bullcrap. But some of them were genuine. Like people were asking, like the usual question: is this like a kink thing or is it like a real thing?
Mm.
And like I got to answer questions like that. It was awesome because like it actually got quite a few upvotes on the platform. It was like 500 or so by the end,
Mhm.
which is like relatively a bit. It like shows up on the top page for a little while when you have that many, and it's like trending.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. But I got to do stuff like that. Um, I kind of like showing up on media a lot because I like to see that kind of interaction and what people think and what people are saying, and some people seem to actually really find it cool, which is always fun.
And occasionally you can convert people over.
Yeah,
Convert
occasionally
people?
you can convert
Yeah.
people over.
One thing I never really think about though when suiting, because I've owned this suit for like 2 years, is that some people, actually majority of people, have never seen a fursuit in their life, like
True.
ever.
Mm.
So it's like it's kind of just this like mystical thing you see online. And when you see it in person, it's a really kind of jarring thing. And I don't blame them one bit. It's a crazy thing. But it's like for a lot of people it's kind of shocking and surprising. Um, and I just think it's really cool. Just give them I try and give them a positive like introduction to it. I think like usually when we're walking around in public shooting, we'll just like sometimes wave to people if they're like like taking a picture of us or like sometimes that's enough to get someone to ask us for a picture.
Mhm.
But like we kind of mind our own business when shooting.
Yeah,
We
just
just kind of walk around. We so like we never really approach someone. We
Mm.
always kind of let people approach us, and we keep our distance. We walk slowly, and
yeah,
we kind of just have fun with it.
that keeps the intimidation factor way down.
Yeah,
I think it really helps nail home the point of we're just kind of doing our own thing, which is always a good thing.
yeah. I personally like. I know some people when they go public shooting, they try and get like tons and tons of pictures of their suit and stuff.
Mhm.
I personally like enjoy just walking.
Yeah,
I don't like
I don't like having to pose for photos like all the time. Like it's fun. I like to get a few, but like they collect enough over time that you don't really need to.
Mm.
and when we say like pose for photos, we mean like by ourselves, just
Yeah,
like
not like going up to
landmarks and
people and
stuff. But like
Oh, yeah,
if
yeah.
someone asks us for a photo, we'll always agree, like almost always, unless it's like egregiously bad that they're like mocking us or something. But like that never happens.
Mhm.
Um, but like we kind of I like the act of shooting itself.
Yeah.
So like just kind of trying to cover as much distance as possible. But you definitely
seeing
have to
as
have good endurance for it.
yeah, seeing as many people. Yeah,
Especially in the Florida weather during like the summer months. Yeah, I think like when you're like public shooting, yeah, definitely the purpose for me for a while is like you said, I realized that a lot of people actually don't see furries that often. Like nowadays, because I've been a fandom and then doing like dancing and so I kind of like look at social media relating to furries or talk about furries all the time. But I kind of forgotten for the moment that like it's a very uncommon thing, even like nowadays when you walk around. Yeah, so for me, like when I was public shooting, honestly, for the last 2 years or so, like my focus has just been trying to change or kind of help influence the public connotations of what furries are. Like a lot of times, it's just been like kind of internet culture, it being a kink thing, it being, like something that's unsavory. And I just wanted to just like wear my suit, walk around, and like people just seem like, oh, yes, he's just like it's just a harmless, thing that this person is doing. And if I'm like nice about it, yeah, I never like try to approach anybody or start a conversation or something. Because I think even as a person, if I did not know what a furry is, or even as a furry, if I see a suitor walk up to me, it's very intimidating. Like it's you're looking at somebody you can kind of dead in the eye, and they're just like towering over you because the head tends to add a little bit of height. And yeah, I definitely just try to like be as nonchalant and like chill and as I can. Like so, just trying to get my influence like the general perspective of furries, because for a while, I think at like MIT, the college, I fursuited so much that like people just started knowing me as like the green dog around campus. And it's funny because yesterday we went to a World of Dance like competition. There was like World of Dance is like kind of this international series of competition that people do for dance, and it can be either like group or like individual level. But I was just down there, watching, spectating the like individual battles. And for a while, we did like a dance circle, and I got in and like did a little bit of stuff. And I think somebody from the spectator like recognized me because they like would see me and then like on campus all the time, and then like also sometimes on my head off, and they were like, "Whoa, wait, that's the green dog from from our college," and they were like, "I gotta tell my friend about it." And I was just like, I thought that was the coolest stuff. Like, people recognizing me as like the green dog, and yeah, I don't know, that's cool.
Yeah, I think I've been trying to build that reputation too. I want to be like the furry around here because I think I've got the most public suiting aside from him. Like at least this semester, we're getting there. I'm gonna get there. I want to be the red and black dog on campus.
Ooh, yeah.
It's definitely a funny thing. Kind of like people seeing you and recognizing you.
Yeah, that would
Um,
be funny. Although I don't know if I want people here to recognize what I actually look like. That would be a bit scary in this part of the country.
yeah. We definitely like when we take breaks and like de-suit for a little, we kind of find like secluded areas
Yeah,
so
yeah.
people can't really see us, but um we've been trying to do it more. It's always so fun. It's just a great experience most of the time.
Yeah.
But um
Mhm.
I think we're getting to a point there like a year ago, 2 semesters ago. People kind of started recognizing our group a little bit. We stopped suiting for a while, unfortunately. Because it gets too hot around the summer. Especially in Florida, you can't really suit outside when it gets to like May, even April sometimes too, like April, May, especially throughout the summer, like there's no way you're going public suiting. It's just too hot.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and it definitely well, like what you said, it's not like I'm not trying to make it like a popularity contest or like trying to get the most attention or whatever. But it's definitely fun to like just be recognized for something silly.
Especially if it's in a positive way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The big dog on campus. That would be so funny. I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess one more thing I just want to talk about is just different places, like different events and places that I've enjoyed public shooting at, because
Mhm.
I've done it at like many, many things. We talked about like shooting on campus. I've also gone shooting at anime conventions,
Oh
Oh,
yeah, do that.
also furry conventions as well. I've
Yeah, yeah.
been
oh
to
yeah.
a plethora of furry conventions. I love shooting at public shooting at furry conventions because most of the time local people will like be
Right.
aware of it.
Yeah.
And also
Like
there's a lot of people who like other people public shooting as well. Um but it's definitely fun and like you get to go shooting with your friends there too. So that's always a good time. Especially at big conventions like Anthrocon, for example.
Yeah.
I absolutely love going for shooting at Anthrocon. It's probably my favorite con. Everyone in the city kind of knows we're there. And I just have had the most like awesome interactions with people there. Like there's some restaurants there you can even get like special discounts on food
Yep.
for having a fursuit.
I don't know that.
And just like I've walked the street and people were like cheering me on and I just going to Pittsburgh has always been an amazing experience for me. And if there's anyone on the fence about deciding what convention to go to, Anthrocon is where it's at. I love Anthrocon.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, Anthrocon always has a special place in my heart because it was the actually, the second con I ever went to, but it was like the first dance comp I ever did at. And I remember, like, honestly, the first Super Parade is so nice. I feel like when we were talking about it, like the integration that Anthrocon like organizer has with the city of Pittsburgh is like kind of unmatched. Like, there's no other con that has such a close like relationship between like the city like supporting the con itself. Like, I think they closed down a few like city blocks or like few streets surrounding the area just so you can have the fursuit parade like safely, and police were nearby, but also like just the and then the people, right, like the city just welcomes furries. I think one because they just generate like a heck ton of revenue every year, like I think it's gotta be in like the tens of millions like amount of money you're going to the economy. But I definitely seen signs of like, yeah, like a coffee shop would draw like a little fox and be like furries welcome or something. I thought that's like the cutest thing ever.
I just love the widespread support of furries. It's such a cool thing to go to, and just the energy is so lively. And especially like the fursuit parade. Um, that's kind of one of those things that I like when I was first introduced to the fandom, I watched videos of Anthrocon and that's always the parade. You always see videos of the parade. And it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, oh my God, I hope I get to do that one day.
Hmm.
And then finally, like 2 years ago, I actually got to do it for the first time. And it's just such a surreal experience to see the thing that I was watching on my screen for years and years
Yeah.
to actually do it myself with my own suit.
Oh.
Um, albeit the process for getting into the parade was a little bit rough.
Oh, really? Okay.
Um, they've definitely improved it. I'll give it to them. They've improved it a lot over the years.
Yeah.
But we had to wait in a pretty big room for like an hour and a half,
Mm.
if you're lucky. And then you walk on the parade for like 30 seconds. Um, but it's just such a like cool thing. I think the 30 seconds were worth it. When you walk around the block. Because it's just so cool to see all the widespread support and I feel like I can actually like perform and like be my character that I've kind of like designed and like that's kind of what we go there to do. Like the
Yeah.
public can see us in a really positive way and they just enjoy seeing our presence. And another cool thing too is there's a lot of professional photographers
Hmm.
at the fursuit parade there. So like there've definitely been
Oh.
like
Yeah.
months after the parade, I'll search up on First Track, which is the website that a lot of furries use to post fursuit pictures, and I'll just search myself up and I'll find a random picture of myself from Anthrocon from months ago, and I'm like, wow,
Oh.
that's so cool. And it's like a really, they're always usually pretty like professional photos as well.
Hmm.
Um, and I just really enjoyed that experience. And then the block party afterwards as well, when they close off all the streets
Yeah.
such an awesome time too because we can just walk down the street and kind of like everyone kind of enjoys our presence and they have like food trucks and the restaurants and just kind of it can be a little bit hot outside but just kind of the energy and the liveliness is worth it. I don't know if you've ever been to it before but it's in my opinion I thought it was a really cool experience.
Yeah. No, I definitely wish I could have gone to Anthrocon this past year. And even like the first time I went, I came on like Saturday afternoon. It was at 4 p.m. It was so late, and I basically like missed just about all like the other stuff other than like the final like day of activities. Um, but I definitely looked forward to be able to maybe hopefully do that again next year. Like just experience like Anthrocon for like its entirety.
Yeah, I definitely look forward to it too. I hope I can go again. But I think Anthrocon is the best example of public fursuiting at a convention. I've definitely been to other conventions though where like public suiting wasn't as great. Like
Hmm.
um Texas Furry Fiesta, TFF in Dallas.
Oh, really?
I love the con. It was a really good con. I had an amazing time. Um, but like fursuiting in the local area was definitely a lot tougher. Because I feel like the area isn't as accustomed to furries.
Oh. Hmm.
We definitely did it a little bit, um, but it wasn't as like welcoming as Anthrocon was. But like as a con itself, TFF was so great. But most of the con itself was confined. It was confined to the hotel itself,
Yeah.
which is definitely different than Anthrocon, where it's all spread out throughout the city.
In
Um,
sorry, let me continue.
but I personally prefer the way that Anthrocon is. I like being able to walk throughout the city with my suit on. But TFF is nice because I can just like go down like just exit my room and then I'm at the convention, but not as much of the public suiting aspect of it. I don't I that was 2 years ago when I went to it. It might be different now, but 2 years ago that's what it was like for me. Um that was also the point in time they were still requiring masks.
Oh, yeah.
It was like kind of like new when COVID restrictions were still being released. So we had to go like suiting with masks on. I had to wear like a mask underneath here.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Um, and it was not the worst thing ever. It wasn't the best thing ever, but it wasn't the worst thing ever. I'm definitely glad that we don't really have those restrictions anymore. Um, but it's definitely kind of a different vibe than it was 2 years ago. And also there's like a lot more furries now.
Hmm.
Like there's
Yeah.
so many more.
Yeah, no, like
Um,
me.
yeah, exactly. Like Ray's suit is pretty new. Um, and just like over time, the amount of like fursuits just keeps on increasing. It's really cool to see.
That's true. Yeah, I mean the growth of the fandom is awesome. I think I've asked people like, do you ever think like furry fandom will ever be mainstream? And I think some of the people think it's probably not. Like, it's never gonna be like, well, obviously not football or like some sports, but like even as like anime, I feel like it still would. In my opinion, I feel like it's gonna grow to a point where even now we're starting to see like conventions putting like caps on like the number of people that you can attend, right? I think didn't AC do that recently, right? And
Yeah, they have a cap on the number of people who can pre-register. I'm
yeah,
not sure about in person, but we'll have to see what happens. It's definitely crazy how fast these conventions are like exploding. Like I remember like I'm still a pretty new furry. Like my first convention was MFF 2022,
mm,
2021, which had like I think 9,000 attendees.
wow,
But I went to Anthrocon this past year and I think they had um 18,000 people, which is like double, which
gosh,
is insane. It's crazy. It's so like exploding out of nowhere.
Our local
Um
convention went from like 5,000 to like 7,000 in the last year,
wow, wait,
which is yeah, like a 50% increase. Pretty crazy.
that's true. I feel like over time, the probably like the smaller conventions gotta be where it's at. Because I feel like sometimes people like I went to well, we went to Megaplex, right? And then like that was a cool convention. It's one of like slightly larger one. But I feel like some people who went to like Furpalk or like Aquatif Aquatifer like recently, people have seem to have really like positive like experiences from that. Because I think you just naturally like, get to meet more of your friends, like time to hang out, and there's also like less I don't know, just like certain issues when it comes to like crowding and stuff like that. That like, yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think on that?
I've personally only been to big conventions. Like my smallest one was Megaplex, which was 7,000 people.
Same, but
Mm.
Megaplex was my only convention.
Yeah. I've been to all the big conventions like Anthrocon, MFF, TFF, FWA. I've been to all the big ones, but I haven't really been to any small ones, so that's definitely on my bucket list. And the experience definitely changes. Um, but
I feel like when I went to Megaplex, I was not overwhelmed. Like that Megaplex was my first convention, and I
Oh,
had a really good time. I didn't plan it out super well, and I didn't go a lot like to a lot of the whole late night things. Like I didn't do a lot of interacting, but it's definitely one of those things that you can take at your own pace, and
yeah.
that's what I liked. You know, I could just go around and like be a dog, and that was fun, right? I could get pictures with people. I can meet people that I'd known online for years,
Mhm.
and like but famous people even like just like any kind of popular these people that like I've watched in like way earlier when I was just getting into the fandom, actually seeing them, and that was cool enough for me. And so like I feel like even with the biggest cons, well, I'm not sure. I haven't been to the bigger ones, but like Megaplex is fairly big.
Mhm.
It still can feel pretty small. Like it's still a lot of fun. It can still kind of feel like you can navigate around and have a good time regardless.
yeah, public suiting at conventions is super fun. I've also gone public suiting at anime conventions before, which that's a very different vibe than furry conventions. Those are very so like I think the thing to keep in mind with anime conventions is that people go there for they go there for merch, like to meet famous people and like see their favorite shows and anime and stuff like that. Whereas like furry conventions, you go there to meet your friends, like hang out with people and whatever you want to do with your friends and stuff. So it's like fundamentally a different vibe. And when I was shooting at anime conventions, I think it's really cool because that's another place where a lot of people aren't really familiar with fursuits.
Mm.
And I feel like that's a place where fursuits are generally pretty accepted.
Yeah.
And I've definitely enjoyed that. I went to MegaCon last year, which had like 150,000 attendees. It was crazy.
What?
Um
150,000? You said?
that's not all in one day. We only went on one day,
Yeah.
but the total attendance was 150K, which is absurd numbers compared to furry
Insane.
conventions. It was still super fun nonetheless. That type of shooting is way more, um, like can definitely be way more overwhelming, especially because like when you're walking through the vendor hall,
Yeah.
like people stop to take pictures with you. You're just surrounded by people. And it can be a lot, especially it's indoors too, so you don't get like it can get really hot sometimes too. But that's just been my experience with it too. There was one time at MegaCon, I was shooting with a friend and we were pretty exhausted and almost overheated and we
Mhm.
were trying to get back to our table and we're walking along and someone asks to take a picture with us, and we're like, okay. We get a picture, and then we're like, take our heads off so we don't overheat.
Yeah.
Take like 2 steps. Another person's like, can I get a picture with you? We're like, okay. Put our heads on, take a picture, take the head off because we're hot, and then take another 2 steps, and another picture, another 2 steps, another picture, and it was just like on and off, taking your heads on and off and on and off, and it was so we're like, oh my goodness, we need a break so bad, and that's a very like key difference with fur cons versus anime cons, because like when you're at a fur con and someone has their head off, I think most people know like, okay, this person's taking a break, shouldn't take a picture with them.
Yeah.
But at anime cons, people don't really know that as well. And obviously I don't hold anything against them at all. But it's just kind of interesting to see like how different it is comparing the two. But yeah.
That's yeah. I mean, from what you described, it sounds like you kind of like at different situations, right, where you're like dealing with people who are may or maybe not be as used to fursuiters. That you gotta learn to like set your own like boundaries and limits because some people maybe not aware of like what's the best way or how do I interact with a suitor. Or yeah, like recognizing signs or like they're overheating and they kind of want to go back to their room instead of taking pictures.
Yeah, even with that stuff, it's definitely still a really fun experience. And that's another thing where I've actually seen pictures of myself resurface before. So it's always fun to see that when that happens. And also sometimes people they can get a picture with the celebrities there. I've seen people take pictures with Giancarlo Esposito, who's the actor of Gus from Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just so funny to see the juxtaposition between the guy who's like super boss, like intimidating
Yeah.
guy who like murders people, and then just a whimsical fursuit, just like taking a picture with them, and it's really funny to see. Um, Personally, I don't have the patience to wait in those crazy long lines, but I've definitely seen people do it before.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this is probably a good point to yeah, kind of wrap things here. Well, I mean, appreciate you guys really coming on and then talking to me about your experiences. Yeah, I mean, I hope to kind of do more episodes like this in the future. But yeah, I won't hold you guys for too long. Thank you for so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having us. It was a blast talking with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, same. I see you guys.